Hello and welcome to module number 3 of the Cash Buyer Ninja. In this module, we're going to be discussing even more ninja strategies for finding buyers to add to your buyers list. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in here and start talking about targeting landlords to be buyers on your buyers list. Now, landlords can be one of the best sources for buyers because if you can find the guys and the girls who are looking to build large rental portfolios, they can become repeat buyers who come back to you for deal after deal after deal. Okay, landlords, as you're going to see here in just a second, there are several different ways to find them. Most of them require not even leaving your house, just sitting at your computer, making some phone calls. They're very easy to find, as you're going to find out here in just a second. So let's just go ahead and talk about the first strategy for targeting these landlords, and that is to locate the Section 8 available units list for your county. This is basically going to be where the Section 8 landlords list their properties for rent. The easiest way to find this online is to just Google your city housing authority. So I'm in Tampa, I would Google Tampa Housing Authority. You might also try your city and then Section 8 list. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to Google and Google Tampa Housing Authority, and their website is going to come up. Now, I did have to do the very first time that I found this website, I had to dig around here a little bit to figure out where this list was and to figure out exactly what I was looking for. So your website, your county's website is probably not going to look exactly the same as this, but if you spend 5-10 minutes poking around, you'll be able to figure out where the available units list is. So I'm going to click on this, and then I have to scroll down again and click on the available units list. And this is going to bring up for Hillsborough County all of the apartments and houses that are listed for rent by Section 8 landlords. And I can search under 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. I'm just going to pick 4-bedroom, just no reason really. So we'll just go ahead and scroll down here, and I just want to show you why our website, now not all counties are going to have this information available, but I'm going to show you a workaround in case you don't have this information available on your housing authority website, or in case you don't have a housing authority website for your county at all. What's really powerful about this is if you see here, you can see all of the addresses of the properties for rent. That's all fine and dandy. If you click on, an address, it gives you the bedroom size, bathroom size, all of that. I don't really care about that, but if you look down here where it says landlord information, if you click on that, it brings up the landlord's name, or sometimes that's a property manager there, it just depends, and then their phone number. Okay, so you can contact these landlords directly by just calling the phone number that's right there on the screen. It's very easy. Now, what I do, similar to when I am doing research on properties that have sold for cash in the MLS, I want to do some research first before I contact these people to see if they are players in the market, to see if they have a lot of properties, or if they're just someone who maybe has one property that they inherited from their mom or their grandmother or whatever. And I try and stay away from those people. So I'm just going to start here. And 33604 is a zip code that I like to work in. It's kind of in the hood, but I've done a lot of business in that area. So 8514 North Sems. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the property appraiser website and do an address search for 8514 North Sems. So and it says the owner is Paul S. Belaski, and it looks like his mailing address is, he lives in Vermont. And by the way, this is kind of getting off topic a little bit, but this website is also very good for getting leads for sellers. Like this guy, for example. He lives in Vermont. He's got a rental in Tampa that is clearly vacant because it's on this list, and you've got his phone number. So this can also be, if you're calling these people to ask them if they're looking to buy more properties and they say, no, I'm not, then you can also ask them, oh, well, are you interested? Do you have any properties that you'd like to get rid of? So just wanted to point that out. But I'm going to go ahead and do an owner name search to see if this guy Paul Belaski has a lot of properties, to see if maybe he's someone I would be interested in adding to my buyers list. And he has 4 properties. They are all in, I know this area pretty well. Those are all properties in the Sulphur Springs area. I like to do business in Sulphur Springs, even though it is the hood. There's a lot of money to be made there. So this is someone that I would be interested in contacting, if not to find out if he'd like more properties in Tampa, to see if he would be interested in selling the current properties that he already has there. So there are a couple of different options from this point. If we go back to the Housing Authority website, and you see here that the landlord information, it says the name is Chris Furman, so that is obviously either a property manager or just maybe a family member or a contact that he has back in Tampa that is handling these rentals. So I could either call this phone number here and talk to Chris, let him know that I'm a wholesaler in Tampa. I see that this guy has some rentals in the Sulphur Springs area. I was wondering if maybe I could get his contact information, the owner's contact information, or if he could pass my contact information along to the owner. So that is one option. The other option would be to try and find this guy, the owner who lives in Vermont, to try and do some cyber stalking and find his phone number that way. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search for Paul S. Blasky. I'm just going to go to Google and see if I can find anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut and paste that. And if you look at the very first listing here, there is a phone number. This is a Paul S. Blasky from Newfane, Vermont. I'm guessing that's the same person. And if you scroll down a little bit too here, there's another listing that gives the same phone number. So I'm guessing this is the same guy. Could just go ahead and give this phone number a call, tell him I'm a wholesaler in Tampa. I saw that he has some properties available for rent. Are you looking for any more? If he says no, I could say, well, do you have any interest in selling any of the rentals that you have? So like I said, this Section 8 website is a fantastic tool for not only finding buyers, but for finding sellers that are landlords, possibly out-of-state landlords that have vacant properties here in Tampa. So let's just go ahead and do one more example here. I'm going to skip over this one on Fish Lake Road because that's an area that I do not like to work in. So we'll go here to 3202 North 45th. That's in 33605 zip, another area that I like. So I'm just going to go ahead and do an address search. 3202 North 45th. We're going to go back to the property appraiser. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this record, and it looks like it is owned by Pamela and Aaron Barrett. So again, I'm just going to do an owner name search to see how many properties these people own. And it looks like they own 5 properties. So these are people that I would probably give a phone call to. Now, if you look on the names of the people that own it, again, it's Pamela and Aaron Barrett. And if we go back to the Housing Authority website, you see the name of the landlord here is Pam. So I'm guessing that that is the owner, and the phone number is right there. So very easy. I can just pick up my phone, give Pam a call, and say, hey, I see that you've got some rentals available in Tampa. I'm a wholesaler, just wondering if you're looking for any more. Now, I will tell you that sometimes when I call people off of this website, they get a little irritated with me because this website is supposed to be for tenants to contact them, not for wholesalers or solicitors to be calling them. So you have to kind of develop a little bit of a thick skin, especially when you're dealing with calling people from this website. Not everyone gets irritated, but just every once in a while you'll get someone that just doesn't want you calling them. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, your second option, if your county's housing authority does not have a website like this where you can go and do searches and get the phone numbers, there's another website that has listings for landlords, Section 8 landlords all over the country. All right, and that website is www.gosection8.com. And by the way, the 8 in gosection8.com is the actual number 8. So it's gosection, the number 8.com. So let's go ahead and check gosection8.com out. What you can do is either put in your city, state, neighborhood, or zip code. I'm just going to go ahead and put in Tampa, Florida. And as you can see here, there are 1,013 listings here. Okay, this website is a phenomenal resource for finding buyers. So there's 1,013 listings here for Tampa. I'm going to go ahead and narrow it down actually by zip code. I'm going to do 33604. That is an area that I like. And that will pull up 160 different properties. Now, with GoSection8.com, you can actually contact the landlords, but you can't get their phone number. So just to show you how this works, this first property here, 3811 East Miller Avenue, if you click on more details, it will take you to a page with more details, obviously, but if you look here on the upper right, it says view phone number. So you click on that and it gives you the landlord's name or property manager's name. Again, a lot of times there will be the contact person here is going to be a property manager and not the owner. But you'll see here there's an 877 number. For every single property listing on this website, it's going to be this 877 number and then an extension. Okay, but that will, if you call this phone number, it actually does go to the landlord or to the property manager, but you can't actually, like the housing authority website that we were just on, you can't actually get the landlord or the property manager's direct phone number. So you can call this phone number. Another option, you can, if you look down here, there is a way to send a message. So if you wanted to, you could put in your name and email address, phone number, and just send them a message. You could just say, hey, my name is Steph Davis. I see that you've got some rentals for, some properties for rent here on this website. Just wondering if you're looking for any more. I'll be honest with you, I have not tried that. I don't know how effective that would be. I don't know how often these landlords check their messages. I would much prefer to get their direct phone number, and that goes for any of these strategies that I'm going to be talking about. Always the best option is to call them directly, to get their cell phone number. I know a lot of people teach to, get a whole list of cash buyers and do a mass mailing. I have found that to be not anywhere near as effective as hunting them down, finding their phone number, and giving them a call. So, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's okay. Just know that if you're sending letters or you're emailing or you're sending messages, your response rate is going to be a lot less than if you actually get their phone number and call them up. So what I'm going to do from here is do a little bit of research on this property, find out who owns it, and then find out if that person owns multiple properties. And just to reiterate, that step is not something that you have to do. You could just go ahead and click on the View Phone Number tab right there, call the phone number, talk to the property manager or the owner, and then go about your business. Just go on to the next record. I just like to do some research first, find out if the owner is someone who is a player in the market or someone who has a large rental portfolio. That is just my preference, but don't feel like you have to do that. So I'm going to go back to the property appraiser, do a search for 3811 Miller, 3811 Miller, and click on this. Looks like the owner is Susan Demi. That TR there means trustee, which means that this property is in a land trust and she is the trustee of the land trust. That doesn't necessarily mean that she is the owner, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a search for her name anyway. And it looks like she is the trustee on 21 different properties. So this is worth looking into. So from here, if I go back to the Section 8 website and I click on the View Phone Number, it says that the landlord is Susie Martinez. Now that name does not match up to the name that's on the property record. So what I could do from here is just call this 877 number, see if Susie is actually the owner or if she's the property manager, see if I could get the actual owner's information. The other option would be, again, to do some quick Google searches to see if I can find a cell phone number or email or some other direct contact information for this Susan Demi. So I'm just going to cut and paste this into Google, and I'm not going to click through all of these, but I can tell you that I went through these listings and I didn't find anything. So I'm going to try that Demi Susan TR is how it appeared in the property records. Sometimes if you search for exactly the way a name shows up in the property records, you'll get a hit. Sometimes you have to switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to try Susan Demi Tampa. A lot of times if I'm searching for someone's personal name, I always put Tampa after it because it narrows the search quite a bit. So I'm going to try Susan, Demmi, Tampa, And here we have a phone number, 813 phone number. So I just go ahead and call this phone number. Again, it says that she's the trustee of the trust, so I don't know for sure if she is the owner. She could be the owner, she might just be the trustee on the land trust, but it's worth giving a call. She owns, or she's the trustee on 20-some different properties, so it takes, 2 to 3 minutes to just pick up the phone, give her a call, ask her if she's looking for more properties in Tampa. So let's go ahead and go back to the Go Section 8 website and look at another example. We'll just click on the next, or look at the next property here, which is 8010 North Alaska Street in Tampa. I'm just going to, again, go to the property appraiser website and do a quick search for 8010 Alaska. And that is West Florida Wholesale Properties. I talked a little bit about this company in the last module, one of the biggest buyers and the biggest wholesalers in Tampa, but we'll pretend like we don't know, pretend like we don't have that knowledge already. I would just go ahead and do a search, an owner name search for West Florida Wholesale Properties to see what they've got going on. As you can see here, there are 147 matches, okay, for West Florida Wholesale Properties, which means that they own 147 properties in Hillsborough County. This is someone that you would definitely want to contact. You'd want to find out their contact information and get a hold of them to see what type of properties they were looking for. They are obviously a big player in the market. So from here, what you could do is you could go back to the Section 8 website, click on the more details, and typically when a company has that many properties, the contact person is going to be a property manager. Another Susie Martinez, that was the landlord that came up in the last example. So again, you could call this number. It's probably not going to be the owner. Or what you could do again is just go into Google, do a quick Google search for West Florida Wholesale Properties, and their website comes up first, wfwproperties.com. Click on that. And if we scroll over here, there's a contact button with a phone number. So there we have, just by using this Section 8, GoSection8.com website, have found one of the biggest players in the Tampa market. You do not have to spend a lot of money to get these leads. You do not have to spend money on costly direct mail campaigns. You can just simply do some searches, start looking through this website, GoSection8.com, in the areas that you're looking to do businesses, do some simple Google searches, and you can find some of the biggest players in your market. Now, are all of these landlords who have properties on here going to be cash buyers? No, not all of them are, but a lot of them are. And all you have to do when you get them on the phone, go through that sheet that you use to screen your buyers, and ask them, the first thing you're going to ask them is, how are you paying for your properties? Are you a cash buyer? Are you getting financing? This is a fantastic resource. Anyone can use it. There are listings on this website of properties all over the country. This is also very powerful if you're a wholesaler. If you're watching this right now and you're a wholesaler that has, say you have a property under contract in a specific zip code, you can just go in, put the zip code in there, and like say if I had a property under contract in 33604 right now, there are 162 different people that I can call up and just say, hey, look, I've got this great deal over on such and such a street. I see that you have some Section 8 rentals in that area. Are you interested? Would you be interested in buying this deal? I mean, do you think that you might be able to sell a couple of properties by going into this website and just going down the list and calling landlords? I can tell you from personal experience that yes, you can. I have done it myself. So this is an absolutely fantastic tool. It's free. You can do, again, the Google searches to get the landlord's phone numbers, or you can use the contact button on this website, or you could send them a message. So you could right now shut this off, press pause on this video, go onto the GoSection8.com website, print out a list, or not print out a list, but pull up a list of all of the properties in your area, spend an hour or two making phone calls, and you could have yourself a very nice buyer's list by the end of the day. All right, so let's move on to the final strategy for finding landlords to add to your buyer's list, and that is by calling for rent signs. Now, this is a tactic that you're not going to be able to, unfortunately, do from the comfort of your own home or office, but I wanted to include it in this training because, number one, it is incredibly effective. I have been doing this for the last at least 5 years, and I have found a ton of buyers this way. And number two, if you're a wholesaler, you're going to be out driving through neighborhoods, looking at properties all the time, or at least you should be. So this is something that you can do while you're out going about your everyday business. All right, so basically you just want to keep a pen and paper, or if you have a voice recorder, right now I have an app on my iPhone where I can just record my voice. So when I'm out looking at properties, if I see any for rent signs, I just do a quick recording of the property address and the phone number that's on the for rent sign. Now, you can, if you want to, you can call the number right then and there, or you can do like I do. Once I get home, I do a search for the address in the property appraiser like I've shown you, see who the owner is, see if the owner owns multiple properties, and then if it looks like someone who might be a big player in the market, then I give them a call. All right, I have found, like I said, lots and lots and lots of buyers this way, and also like the Section 8 website that we were looking at, there are a ton of landlord buyers that you can find on there, but that website does not include just regular landlords who are not renting to Section 8 tenants. Okay, so this is something that you should just get in the habit of doing all the time. Every time you go out and look at properties, you see a for rent sign, jot the address down, jot the phone number down. All right. Now, what do I say to these landlords when I am calling them up? Basically, hi, I'm calling about a for rent sign that I saw in front of a property located at 123 Main Street. Is that your house? And then they usually say yes. And I say, well, hi, my name is Steph Davis. I'm a wholesaler here in Tampa, and I was just wondering if you're looking for any more cheap rentals in that neighborhood. And then I kind of wait and see what they say. Some people will say, no, I'm not interested in buying anything right now. Some people will say, well, yeah, if the price is right, I'm always buying. So, and I have also included those scripts in your bonuses. So if you ever get lost and don't really know what to say to these potential buyers, you can refer to the scripts and just kind of follow along with those. So, some people are completely unresponsive. Some people are like, yeah, I definitely want to buy more properties. Let me know if you get any good deals. So again, this is something that is incredibly effective, and it is something that if you do it consistently, if you just make a habit of, every time you go out to look at properties, every time you're out driving neighborhoods, that if you see a for rent sign, you jot down the number and the address. It's a fantastic way to build your buyer's list, okay? All right, before we move on to the next strategy here, I want to talk a little bit about cold calling. I know there are probably a lot of people watching this right now who are thinking to themselves, man, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can cold call these landlords. I'm going to sound stupid. What if they yell at me? I don't know what to say. I can tell you that it is a little bit scary at first, maybe for not everyone, but for the majority of people, when you're cold calling landlords or sellers or whoever, it's a little nerve-wracking, okay? And when I first got started, I was absolutely terrified to make phone calls, and that includes to buyers, to sellers. Even when I was marketing to sellers, and I had very, very little cash at the time, so I was spending what very little extra money I had on marketing, and then the sellers would start calling me, I just wouldn't pick up the phone, and it would go to voicemail, and I would just not call them back because I was too afraid to pick up the phone and call them. So I know what it's like. I know a lot of people, when they see investors or wholesalers who have been at it for several years, they think, oh, well, it was different for you. You probably weren't nervous in the beginning. That's not true for me anyway. Like I said, I was absolutely terrified to make phone calls. What I can tell you is that it gets easier and easier the more you do it. The only way to really get rid of that fear is to just jump in, make the phone calls, and it gets easier. One thing I want to say is that you need to be prepared for rejection when you're calling these people that are on the Section 8 list, when you're calling for rent signs, when you're calling cash buyer, people who have bought cash properties for cash on the MLS, you're going to get some rejection. Some people are going to get ticked off. Some people are going to tell you to lose their number. Some people are going to be mean and grouchy. It just comes with the territory. All right, not every single person is going to say, yeah, I want 9 million properties and I have $20 million to spend, and it doesn't work that way. You have to realize that just like with a lot of other aspects of wholesaling or real estate investing, it's a numbers game. You know, the more offers you make, the more deals you're going to get. Same way with this. The more calls you make, the more potential buyers you talk to, the more people you're going to be able to add to your list. All right. The thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you do just one or all of these strategies that I'm teaching you consistently every single day, or maybe not every single day, but at least weekly, you will have a kick butt buyers list. I mean, there's just no way around it. If you go out every time you go look at properties and you call for rent signs, if you run a list of cash sales in the MLS once a month and track those people down and call them, and you do that consistently, there's just no way around the fact that you're going to have an awesome buyers list, but you have to actually do these things, okay? Again, I know a lot of you are probably nervous, or maybe you think that it doesn't work, or you're just scared of being rejected, but I'm telling you, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and that fear does go away eventually, all right? All right, so let's move on to the next strategy for finding cash buyers to add to your buyers list, and that is by finding out who is buying properties at auction. And by auction, I'm talking about the foreclosure auction for your county. Now, why are we going to be interested in finding out who those buyers are? Well, because if you are buying properties at the foreclosure auction, you have to pay cash. So this is another fantastic way to find out who the cash players are in your market, and there are several different ways to go about doing this. The first one is going to be doing some searches on your county clerk or your county recorder's website. Depending on what area you're in, it might be called the county clerk, it might be called the recorder. Wherever the deeds are recorded in your county, we're going to do some searches on that website to see who is buying properties at auction. Now, you're going to have to, unless you're in my county and your website is exactly like what you're seeing here, you're going to have to fiddle around with this a little bit. It took me a while. I didn't learn how to do these searches until about, it's only been maybe a year or two that I figured out how to do this. So you're going to have to do some tinkering around in your county clerk or your county recorder's website to be able to figure out how to do this. You might have to call down to the county recorder or county clerk's office and ask them how to do this. But basically, what I figured out was that if people are buying, any buyer that buys a property at auction, it's going to show up in this website, and the seller name is going to be Hillsborough County Clerk. And it's spelled, the way it shows up in here is Hillsborough County CLK. Okay, so basically any person who buys a property at auction, it's going to show up that they bought it from this seller, Hillsborough County CLK. And the way that I figured this out actually was I know some of the players that buy down at the auction. One of them in particular, again, this name keeps coming up again and again and again, but West Florida Wholesale Properties. I knew that he was buying a bunch of properties at auction. So what I did was I came into this website and did a search for his company name, West Florida Wholesale Properties, and then I looked at the results and I kept seeing Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk. So I thought to myself, well, if I do a search for Hillsborough County Clerk, then that should show me all of the people who are buying properties from auction. And indeed, that is how it works. So I'm just going to show you here real quick. Now, again, your website for your county is not going to look like this. It's going to take you a little bit of time to figure out how to do these searches, if you're even able to do them at all. If you're not, I have a couple of other different options for you, so don't worry about that. So here I'm going to do a direct name search, and again, Hillsborough County CLK, that's the way that it shows up in this website, and you can search by a specific document in this particular website, and I want to search for deeds. Okay, I want to just see deed transfers, and I'm just going to click search. And what I will wind up with here is a list of all the buyers who are buying properties at auction. These are all cash buyers who are currently buying right now at auction. Okay, this list right here, you see these are deed transfer, deed. These are all sales of buyers buying properties from the Hillsborough County Clerk. These are people buying properties at auction. Hopefully you can see how powerful this list is. This is just an incredible tool to be able to just go in here and find out who the cash players are in my market. So I approach this the exact same way that I do when I'm getting the list of cash sales in the MLS. I just take the buyer name here, do a little bit of research on the buyer, see if they are a player in the market. If they are, I try and find their contact information. All right, so I'm just going to start with this first one right here, Golden Sunrise Properties. There's actually two company names here, Golden Sunrise Properties and Sealand Properties LLC. We'll just do this Golden Sunrise Properties. So I'm actually going to do the owner name search here in the county clerk website because I can see what type of activity is going on, if they're buying lots of properties or not. So I'm just going to do an owner name search here in the county clerk website. Search records. And we'll scroll down here. Looks like there are 10 pages of transactions. Okay, so this person is obviously buying a lot of properties. So what I'm going to do from here is go ahead and go into Google this person's company name and see if I can find their contact information. So we're going to go ahead and go to Google, cut and paste that in there. And I was not able to find a contact phone number looking through these listings here on Google. So my next step is to go to the Division of Corporations for the state of Florida and do a search for the business name, which is Golden Sunrise Properties LLC. Search. Now, here's one thing that you need to be careful of. You see there's a Golden Sunrise Properties Inc. and then a Golden Sunrise Properties LLC. That happens quite a bit, so you want to make sure that you are clicking on the correct file. So we're going to click on that and then scroll down here. Looks like the registered agent name, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. And that is if you look at the manager member detail, the same name comes up again, and then this name here. One thing I wanted to mention that I did not mention in the last module is that sometimes the registered agent sometimes people will have an attorney or a company that's the registered agent. So not always will you be able to do a Google search for the registered agent and it is the owner of the LLC. So you just kind of have to use some deductive reasoning. A lot of times if this name here is the registered agent name is the same down here, a lot of times it's the owner, sometimes it isn't, but you just have to, again, you'll kind of get a feel for this after you start doing searches, lots and lots of searches. I will tell you that I did do a search for this first name here and I came up with a bunch of dead ends. So I'm going to do a search for this name. I'm just going to go to Google and see what I can find. And as you'll see here, the very first listing for this person's name, there is a cell phone number. This is an 813 area code. That is in Tampa. So I'm assuming that this is, and this is actually looks like it's a listing off of the MLS. So I'm assuming that this is the correct person. So if you can hopefully see how powerful this is, I now have the cell phone number for a very active cash buyer. Again, there are 10 pages of transactions here. Lots of these are Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk. So this person is obviously paying cash for properties at the auction. It took me, 5 minutes to do a couple of these simple searches, and I have this person's cell phone number. All right, so I just want to show you some more examples just to show you how I do some of these searches and kind of dig through the internet to find people. Let's move on to the next buyer here. Now I wanted to show you this, 2012 B Property Holding LLC. This is I believe that it's a hedge fund, I think, because I keep seeing this company name pop up everywhere. And if you remember in one of the previous modules, the last module I think, I told you that sometimes I just can't find the contact information for certain buyers. This would be an example. I have searched and not been able to find the contact information for this particular company. Now, am I going to bang my head against the wall or go crazy trying to find this information out? No. Why? Because as you can see here, this is just 30 days worth of transactions. There are hundreds of transactions here. There are hundreds of buyers to choose from. So if there's one that I can't find, I don't really care. Unless it is, maybe say I was working in a specific zip code and I really was short buyers and I saw that this buyer was buying up a lot of properties in this particular zip code, I might do a skip trace or spend some extra time trying to find them. But you know what? There are tons of buyers out there right now. So if something like that happens and I have to spend more than 5 or 10 minutes doing searches, I just move on to the next one. There's plenty of buyers out there. So with that being said, let's move on to the next buyer here, which is NJGINC. So I'm going to just do an owner name search to see if this person is buying up a lot of properties. And we'll just scroll down here. Looks like there are quite a bit of transactions, several of them Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk. So this person is obviously pretty active buying properties at auction. So again, what I'm going to do is just go to Google, do a Google search for NJGINC. And this, you would think, it's NJGINC. I thought that this was their website, but you click on it and it's computer software specialist, which I don't think that this is the correct NJGINC. So what I'm going to do is go back to the Division of Corporations and do a search for the company name NJGINC. Once again, you see that there's several NJG. Just want to make sure that you are clicking on the correct file. So we'll click on this and we scroll down here and we see that the registered agent is Nick Gallagher, and same for the officer director detail, Nick Gallagher. So first thing I do is just cut and paste this exactly as it is into Google to see if I can find Nick Gallagher's contact information. And I did look through all of these listings here and was not able to find a email address or cell phone number. So the next thing that I'm going to do in Google, I'm going to try and do a search for Nick Gallagher Tampa and see what that pulls up. The first listing is a Facebook listing, so I'm going to click on that. And this says this Nick Gallagher lives in Valrico, Florida. I perused through here a little bit and I do not believe that this is the Nick Gallagher I am looking for. Now, how do I determine that? Again, once you start doing these searches quite a bit, you'll start knowing what to look for. Like a lot of times I'll look through the work and education and their likes. Most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time when you're dealing with a real estate investor or someone who's buying up a lot of properties, if you look through their likes on Facebook, there will be a lot of stuff related to real estate investing, stuff like that. So I don't think that this is the correct Nick Gallagher. So I'm going to go back to Google. There is a listing here for Nick Gallagher on BiggerPockets. Now, I mentioned BiggerPockets.com earlier in this training. It is a fantastic resource for real estate investors and wholesalers. There's a forum on there, all kinds of articles. It's also a social networking platform. So I'm going to click on that. And this brings up his profile on BiggerPockets, but it says here that he was last active almost 3 years ago. So you could, if you were a member of BiggerPockets, you could log in and send him a message. I don't know necessarily that he is still checking the messages from BiggerPockets. If you're not a member of BiggerPockets, you can sign up, it's free, and try and send him a message. I probably would not go that route because he has not been active for 3 years. Now, if it said he was active a week ago or yesterday or even a couple months ago, you might have better luck. You could try it. You know, it's worth a shot. It probably would take you maybe 5 minutes to do that. But let's go back here and see what else. Here is a LinkedIn profile, so I'm going to click on that. And if you scroll down here to groups and associations, you see there's bulk real estate investments, distressed real estate investment. There's some notes, some groups and applications about notes. So I would guess that this is the correct Nick Gallagher. it says he's from the Tampa St. Pete area. So again, if you have an account on LinkedIn, you could go ahead and contact him directly through here. So I'm just going to try one more Google search because I'm not on LinkedIn. And a lot of times what I'll do, if I search for the name and I don't find anything, and then I put the name plus Tampa and I don't find anything, I'll try and search for the person in real estate. So like Nick Gallagher, real estate, and see what that pulls up. And if you scroll down here, there's another Facebook listing. And if you look in the description here, it says wholesale bulk real estate investment, turnkey real estate investment. So I'm going to click on that. And it says this Nick Gallagher is from Tampa, Florida. Doesn't give a whole lot of, he doesn't have a lot of information available to the public, like on his About section. A lot of times if you click on the About section on Facebook, it will say, you know, what the person does for a living, where they work. So a lot of times you can glean some information from looking at the About section. You know, if it says I'm a real estate investor, then, you know, that gives you a big clue that this might be the person you're looking for. But just from the little blurb that it said in Google about bulk real estate investment, this guy's from Tampa, Florida, I think that this is the correct Nick Gallagher. And if I looked at some of his likes too, and there's some real estate stuff there, there's Rich Dad that he likes. So I'm just going to guess that this is the correct person, and I can just send him a message. Just click on this, send him a message, say, hey, I'm a wholesaler here in Tampa. I was doing some research online and saw that you are purchasing investment properties. Just wondering if you're looking for any more deals. If so, what are you looking for? Just, you know, that takes what, 3 minutes? If it's the wrong person, they're either going to ignore you or maybe send you a message back saying you got the wrong person, and, you know, you're out a couple of minutes of your time. So this would be an example of someone that I had to do a little bit more digging to find, and still was not able to find his contact information, like his email address or phone number. But, you know, he's got the profile on BiggerPockets, he's got a profile on LinkedIn, and he's got a profile on Facebook. So between those three websites, if I were to send messages to all of them, I think I would be able to contact this guy. All right, so let's just go ahead and move on to the next. Let's do another example here. This is, again, is the list of cash buyers who are buying at auction. So let's move on to J&R Properties of Brandon, Inc. And I'm just going to do a really quick search in the county clerk website just to see if this person is buying up a lot of properties. Now, one thing I did want to mention, before, when I was doing searches, you know, when I was doing research on the owners in the property appraiser website, just to see how many properties they own, keep in mind that if a person is, say they're flipping properties, if they're buying them, rehabbing them, and reselling them, if you go to the property appraiser website and do a search for their name and say maybe only one property shows up or two properties show up, that can be kind of deceiving because they still could be doing a lot of business, but they're just buying and selling. Okay, so what you want to do, I usually will do a search in both the property appraiser website and the county clerk website, because in the county clerk website, or, you know, if it's called the recorder's website where you're at, that will show all of the deed transfers. So even if they are buying and selling very quickly, that's all going to show up in here. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, that if you're doing searches in your property appraiser or assessor's website and the person, it shows that they don't have that many properties, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing a lot of business. They might just be buying them and then selling them quickly. All right, so let's just go ahead and do a search here in the county clerk website for J&R Properties of Brandon, Inc. and see what we can find out. Scroll down here, and it looks like there are 9 pages of transactions. A lot of them, as you can see here, Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk, Hillsborough County Clerk. They're all recent, 10 2012, 11 2012, 12 2012. So this, by the way, video is being recorded in 12 of 2012. So these are recent transactions. He's buying, or she or they are buying these properties at auction, some of them for cash. So this is definitely, with 9 pages of transactions here, definitely someone that I want to try and find. So again, first thing I'm going to do is go into Google and just do a Google search for J&R Properties of Brandon, Inc. The first listing, I wanted to point this out too, that comes up. It's for a website called Corporation Wiki, and this is also another tool that you can use if your division of corporations is not online. You can do searches for company names here to find out who the managing members are. I have found, though, that this is not as accurate as the Division of Corporations website for my state, sunbiz.org. So I don't normally do searches in Corporation Wiki, but if the listing comes up when I do a Google search, I can just look right here instead of going back into sunbiz.org and doing the search. It's going to give me the same information. So it says here that Javed Gohar is the director, president, and treasurer, and Rahila Gohar is the director, secretary, and vice president. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a search. And by the way, I did look through that list of that first Google search for the company, and could not find I couldn't find a phone number or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is a search for Javed, and I'm going to go ahead and add the Tampa after it, so it'll be Javed Gohar Tampa, and see what I could find. I did look through all of these and was not able to find any sort of contact information. So next I'm going to try Javed Gohar Real Estate. And his LinkedIn, if you look here, it says Tampa St. Pete Industry Real Estate. So click on that. And again, if you're on LinkedIn, you could send Javed, you could contact him directly from LinkedIn. Again, I am not on LinkedIn, so what I'm going to do is look for a Facebook listing, which I was not able to find looking through these. However, one thing to keep in mind is that if you're on Facebook, there is a setting that you can check so that if someone is searching for you, your Facebook profile does not show up in Google. So a lot of times if you are searching for someone in Google and their Facebook profile does not come up, what you want to do is go directly to Facebook and do a search on Facebook. So I'm going to go over to Facebook and do a search for Javed Gohar. And if you see the first listing that comes up, Javed Gohar from Tampa, Florida. So I am not absolutely positive that this is the right person, but I think that it is. So again, all I have to do is click on the message button here, say, hey, I'm Steph Davis. I'm a wholesaler here in Tampa. Saw that you're buying properties at auction. Just wondering if you're looking for any more great wholesale deals. If so, shoot me a message. Let me know what you're looking for. Takes 2 minutes of your time, and if it's the wrong person, no big deal. They'll either ignore you or let you know that you've got the wrong person. So let's just do one more example here of try and find one of these buyers that came up when I did the search for auction buyers. And let's go to, we've already found NJG INC. This was the one that I am not able to locate. So let's try Market Tampa Investments LLC. And I'm just going to quickly do a search here in the county clerk website to see what Market Tampa Investments LLC is up to. If we scroll down here, we see that there are 6 pages of transactions. Lots of them are deeds. There are some sales from that they are buying at auction. So this is someone that I am interested in finding. So we're going to go directly to our friend Google, type in Market Tampa Investments LLC, and if you look at the very first listing here, markettampa.com. So we're going to click on that, and if you click here on real estate, there is a contact number right here. And also you can send this person an email. Looks like the guy's name is Justin Savage. So this is an example of one that was super duper easy to find. Again, this is someone who is buying at auction. It's obviously a cash buyer, someone who is doing a lot of transactions or who is purchasing a lot of property. So I mean, this took me probably less than 2 minutes to find the cell phone number of one of these buyers just by doing some very simple Google searches. I'm just sitting here in my sweatpants and flip-flops right now. I didn't have to spend any money. I didn't have to leave the comfort of my own house. So Hopefully you can see how powerful this is to just do some research, find out who is buying at auction, and then spend some time hunting them down online. Now, I know not everyone is going to be able to do these searches in your county recorder's website. There are a couple of different options if you do not have that available to you, if you can't do those searches in your county recorder's website. So let's just go ahead and talk about a few of those options. First would be to find out where the foreclosure auctions are held in your county. The easiest way to do that would be to just do a simple Google search for Tampa foreclosure auction, or whatever city you're in, foreclosure auction. That should take you to some website somewhere where you can get that information. If you can't find that online, if you call up your county, the clerk of the circuit court, they should be able to tell you where and when the auctions are held. Once you find out that information, go to the auctions and network. All right, if you keep going to these repeatedly, day after day, week after week, you're going to start noticing that a lot of the same people show up at these auctions and buy properties. You can just sit and observe maybe for the first couple of times you go, see who's buying, see what they're buying, what areas, what they're paying for them, and then, pass out your business cards. Start talking to these people. Let them know that you're a wholesaler. Ask them if they'd be interested in buying any deals from you. Now, this obviously is not going to be as easy or as convenient as just sitting in your desk doing Google searches, but if you're not able to do that, you have to work with what you have. And I can tell you that if you're in an area where your county records aren't online, or you're not able to do these searches, you're going to be head and shoulders above the competition, because most people are not going to be willing to actually go down to the auction and network with these cash buyers. This is something that can be very powerful. You can build some great connections doing this, but you're going to have to build up a little bit of confidence. You might be a little bit nervous to do this at first, but it can pay off big time in the long run. So that is one option, is to just find out where the auctions are held, go down there, start networking with the players in your market. The second option would be to just go down to your county recorder's office, ask someone who works there to let them know that you want to research who the people are, who the investors are that are buying properties at auction. It might take you a little while to figure it out. If you ask someone, who works there, they should be able to point you in the right direction. But again, this is something that, if you're in an area where your county records are not available online, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of people who are going to take the initiative to actually go down to the recorder's office and do this research. So you're going to have a big advantage over your competition. All right, so your next option for finding these auction buyers would be to get a list of properties being auctioned off. Okay, in many areas there are people who sell these lists. They'll sell you an actual list of the properties that are going to be auctioned off each week. A good way to find out where you could get your hands on such a list, if there is one available in your area, is to just call down to the clerk of the circuit court and ask them, do you have a list of properties that are going to be auctioned off? Once you get this list, now you have to keep in mind that once the sale takes place, it's going to take sometimes 30 days, sometimes more, depending on your area, to show up in the property records. But what you can do is get a list of the properties that are being auctioned off at auction and research those addresses, wait 30 days, 45 days, go down the list of the properties that were auctioned off and see who the new owners are. From there, just like we've been doing through this whole training, see who the owner is, do a search to find out if that owner is a player in the market. If they are, do some cyber stalking to find those buyers. Okay, this is another very powerful tool for finding out who the auction buyers are. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can do it from your computer. All right, one final option is to see if your auctions, your foreclosure auctions for your county, are held online. That should say held there. It says heed. Sorry about that. I just noticed that right now. But see if if the auctions are held online. Here in Hillsborough County, just a couple of months ago, they started holding the foreclosure auctions online. So the best way to find out is to just go into Google and do a search for your city foreclosure auction, and I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. to the Hillsborough Clerk website, foreclosure sales, and it gives you some information. Again, you're probably going to have to just poke around a little bit to find out where all of this information is. But here under sales information, it says that effective October 1st of 2012, the sales are held every weekday online at 10 a.m. at this website right here. Also, I wanted to point out too that it also gives you some information about where the list of properties that are going to be auctioned off is located. It says that sales are advertised in local legal newspapers in their classified sections under notices of sale. So, if you don't know exactly where you can find these legal newspapers, just give a call down to your county clerk office and ask them where you can find those notices of sale. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this link here where the auctions are held. And again, I'm sure where you're at, if your auctions are online, the website is not going to be exactly the same as this one. Now, Hillsborough County and Pinellas County, that's the county that's right next to where I am at, the websites are very similar. I don't know if they're like that all over the country. I doubt it. So you're going to have to do some investigating in your website to find out how it works. But here you can just click on where it says auction calendar, and I'm going to go back because what I'm going to be doing is looking for sales that have taken place, find the property address, and then go to the property appraiser website, do a search for the address to find out who the new owner is. Now, this takes usually 30 days, sometimes 45 days to show up in the property appraiser website. So I'm going to go back to October, which is when they started doing these online auctions. And I'm just going to click, if you just click on here, it shows the sales for that day. There was only one for this day. And if I scroll down a little bit, it says under auction status, it says canceled per attorney. So I'm just going to go to the next auction. And what I'm looking for, if you'll see, a lot of these get canceled by the attorney. If it says sold to the plaintiff, that means that the bank took the property back. That will end up being an REO, a bank-owned property. Okay, so the ones that say sold to the plaintiff, you don't want to worry about those. You're looking for sales where the property is sold to a third-party bidder. All right, so this one here, you can see it says sold to a third-party bidder for $53,800, and the address is 3401 East Frierson. Now I can just click this link right here, and that'll take me straight to the property appraiser website. You might not have that available to you, so I'll just show you. I'm just going to do an address search in the property appraiser website for 3401 East Frierson to see who the new owner is. So let's do 3401 Frierson, and it says HNA Properties Inc. And by the way, this strategy here, like I said, they just started doing these auctions online in Hillsborough County, so I just figured this out within the last couple of months. And it is very, very effective. So we're going to do an owner name search here for HNA Properties just to see what they own. Again, I normally do a search here if I get the sense that maybe this person is buying a lot at auction and maybe only one property shows up here, then I will go to the recorder's office and do a search for their name again just to see if maybe they're a quick flip or a rehabber and they are doing a lot of business, but it doesn't show up that they have a lot of properties here because they're buying and selling. So shows that there are 7 properties that HNA Properties owns. I'm going to go ahead and do a Google search to see if I can find out more about HNA Properties, see if I can find their contact information. So I'm just going to cut and paste HNA Properties. And as you'll see here, scroll down just a little bit, HNA Properties Inc., Tampa, Florida. There is their business address and there is a contact phone number. So very powerful, very easy to do. This is someone that's buying at auction recently. They're paying cash. I now have their phone number and it took me just a couple of minutes, didn't cost me anything, and I didn't have to leave my house. All right, so let's just do one more example here in this auction website. The next sale to third-party bidder is at 2606 East 32nd Avenue. That was sold for $38,800. So we're just going to go into the property appraiser and do a search for 2606 32nd. And looks like the person who bought this at auction was Stress Free Property Management Inc. And so we're just going to go ahead and do a search, owner name search here in this website. See what they've got going on. Looks like Stress Free Property Management owns 22 properties in Hillsborough County. So definitely someone that I am interested in finding. They're buying properties at auction right now for cash, and they've got a decent sized rental portfolio already. So let's just go into Google and see what we can find. If you scroll down here just a little bit, and we see the Stress Free Property Management website, their address, and there is a contact phone number. So again, just another quick search, and I have the phone number. I don't know if that's a cell phone number or office phone for another buyer that's paying cash. They're buying right now at auction. So hopefully you can see how powerful this method is to find these auction buyers, whether you are doing searches on the county recorder or the county clerk website, or you're actually going down to the office and doing research, or you're getting a list of properties that are being auctioned off and then going to the property assessor or property appraiser's website and doing an address search to find out who the new owner is. Or if your auctions are online, doing what I have just done here and doing some research to find out who bought them. This is incredibly powerful. Just like with all of the other strategies that I have taught so far in this training, even if you just were to do this, just focus on this one strategy and just every single week be doing research to find out who is buying at auction and then contacting these people, you are going to have a rockin' buyers list. And this isn't going to be a list of jokers, people who are tire kickers. You know, because you've done the research up front, you know that these people are buying cash and they're buying right now. So it's just an incredibly effective way to build your buyers list. It's easy, it's free, and you can do it sitting in front of your computer. All right, before we go ahead and wrap up Module 3, I want to just quickly go over some additional strategies for finding buyers that I like to call my if all else fails strategies. Sometimes even when I do all of this research and I have this fantastic buyers list, sometimes the buyers just are not interested. Now, I will tell you that usually if you have a list of really hot buyers, they're active buyers or cash buyers, and you have a decent sized list and you send your deals to all of these people and every single one of them says, no, I'm not interested, it's usually a pretty good indicator that your deal is not really a deal and you need to be offering it at a lower price. But here are just some additional strategies that you can use if you've tried all of the other tactics that I've gone through in this training so far and you just can't seem to find a buyer. All right, so the first strategy is going to be utilizing real estate agents, okay? What you can do, let's say you have a property under contract in a certain zip code and you're looking for a buyer. You've sent this deal out to all of the buyers that you have and no one is interested. What you can do is go into the MLS and do a search for recent cash sales that have sold in the zip code where your deal is located. All right, get that list of sold listings, properties that have sold for cash, and then what you can do is contact the agents who sold those properties. So I just want to show you an example here. This is, let's say I have a property under contract in Tampa in the 33610 zip code. I can't find a buyer. None of my buyers are interested. I'm starting to panic a little bit. What I can do is go into the MLS or have someone do this search for me, get me a list of properties that have sold for cash in the last 30 or 60 or 90 days in 33610. And then what I can do, if I'm not able to, now I know I've already shown you how to try and find these buyers on your own by doing an address search. Like for this, I could go do a search for 4010 North 37th, see if I could find the buyer. If I'm not successful at doing that, what I can do is scroll down in this listing to the very bottom and it will tell you who the selling agent was. All right, this says Joseph McGuire right here. What you can do is contact the selling agents, the agents who represented buyers who bought properties for cash in the zip code. Call them up and say, look, I'm a wholesaler. I have this deal under contract. I see that you represented a buyer who purchased a property in that area. Do you know if they're still looking for deals in that neighborhood, or do you know anyone else, any other cash buyers who would be interested in this property? All right, now the thing with dealing with agents and utilizing this tactic is that you're going to have to pay them. Now, you don't have to pay them out of pocket. They would get paid at closing, a commission on the HUD. So that would come out of your profits. It's not like you have to show up to closing and pay them out of your pocket, but it is going to cut into your profits. But this can be, like I said, if you have exhausted all of your other efforts and you still can't find a buyer, this is another great way to tap into a resource of people, real estate agents who have access to cash buyers. Now, to get the selling agent's contact information, it's usually, a lot of times it'll be located in the listing. If not, it's very easy to find realtors by just doing a Google search. Usually they all have realtor.com listings. So if I were to just Google Joseph McGuire RealNet Tampa, I'll get his contact information. All right, so this is just another option for you. Like I said, you're going to have to, this is going to cut into your profits, but if you're at the point where you can't find a buyer on your own, it is better to get less profits than no profits at all. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so let's move on to the next strategy here, and that would be utilizing other wholesalers. All right, you should always be networking with the other wholesalers in your market. Don't look at them as competition, look at them as part of your team. I can't tell you how many times I have done joint venture deals with other wholesalers where either I sell their deals to my buyer or I sell my deals to their buyer. Again, you're going to be making less money this way, so this is going to be a worst case or last case scenario, but it's better to make some of the profits than make nothing at all and letting the deal go. And one thing that you want to keep in mind, once you start implementing these strategies that I have been teaching you in this training, get out there, start networking with other wholesalers, and let them know that you've got this hot buyers list. This is a fantastic way, especially if you're a beginner and maybe you don't have enough money for a marketing campaign for motivated sellers. Maybe you just don't feel confident enough yet. Having an awesome buyers list is a great way to make some quick cash when you're just getting started. Build up that buyers list, start talking to some of the players, some of the wholesalers in your market who are doing a high volume of business, and let them know, hey, if you get a property under contract and you need help selling it, let me know. I've got this awesome buyers list. And then what you can do is work together on a joint venture deal or a co-wholesale deal with them and make some really quick cash. That's a great way to build up cash when you're just getting started. And in module number 4, I'm going to go into detail about how to structure those co-wholesale deals, but just keep that in mind. Build up that buyers list, spend a couple of weeks, actually it doesn't even need to be a couple of weeks, spend a couple of days racking up some of these really hot buyers, and then reach out to the other wholesalers in your market and let them know, hey, I've got this awesome list of buyers, send me your deals. Okay, that wraps up module number 3. We covered a ton of content in this module. I hope you learned a lot. You might have to go back and watch again or maybe 2 times to let all of the information sink in. In module number 4, we're going to be talking about how to keep your buyers that are on your buyers list happy, how to turn them into repeat customers and keep them coming back for deal after deal after deal. I'm also going to be walking you through the steps involved in a wholesale deal. I know for a lot of beginners, they get really confused about putting a property under contract. Once they have it under contract, then what do they do? What do they do? What paperwork do they use when they find a buyer? What do they do when they find a buyer? So I'm going to walk you through step by step the different types of wholesale deals, private seller wholesale deals, REO wholesale deals, and then co-wholesale deals where you are selling another wholesaler's deal or vice versa. So that's what we will be talking about in the bonus module number 4, and I will see you over there in just a minute.